Hey everybody, this is Curtis from PSNStores.com. Today we're taking a look at The Witch and the Hundred Knight. Now this is the Revival Edition. This is coming out on PS4 this week. And so this is a game that originally came out on PlayStation 3 from NIS. When it came out, I put probably close to about 20, somewhere between 20 and 30 hours into this game. And to be honest, I didn't like it. This was a game that I actually was really excited about before it came out, and then we got it in. I started playing it, and the more I started playing it, the more and more I started to not like it. And so we got this in, and I'm like, well, I want to give it a second shot because I want to see if maybe this Revival Edition, maybe it's better. You know, maybe they've improved upon some things. So we'll see how that goes. I'm a couple hours in. The place we're looking at right now, this is the Tower of Illusion. This is a brand new thing in the game. I just unlocked it, so I figured this would actually be a pretty good place to start for a video because this is new. This is something that was not in the previous game. So this is interesting already. Actually, this is something that I'm already like, okay, this is kind of cool, because what they've done is basically this takes place in what appears to be a parallel world where the witch, Natalya, who is kind of one of the main characters in this game, she exists, and she kind of stumbles, or not, maybe she kind of finds this Tower of Illusion that has quite a bit of a history to it, and then you kind of fall out of the sky, and so you seem to retain your memories, or you kind of are aware that you're in a different area, maybe, but you're still, like, you know who she is, whereas she doesn't recognize you, even though you have kind of been serving her, and kind of doing her bidding, and so she acts somewhat differently. Like, she actually refers to herself, as Leah instead of Natalya, and that's kind of a running, not so much of a joke, but that's a thing that is reoccurring in the game. She has a butler that calls her Leah, and she gets angry about that, and always corrects him, and then when you run into her here in front of the Tower of Illusion, she actually is like, oh yeah, I'm Leah, and so you're like, wait a minute, something's not right here. And so this is a tower where you offer up a weapon, and depending on the kind of level of that weapon will influence the monster level in the tower, and so you'll just keep ascending. And it looks like this is going to be a place where you can get better, like, weapon drops. Probably a good place to actually grind out levels if need be. And one of the new aspects of this game is that whereas in the previous game you could only play as the Hundred Knight, this is who you played as, and that was it. There was a new bar here. You see, like, the witch's hat, and that's filling up. Apparently, you can summon her in, and you can play as her. So I've not done that yet, so I'm actually really curious as to what that's going to be like. Alright, here we go. Leah gauge is filled up. You can now summon Leah. So I guess we'll check that out. Okay. Leah can be moved using the left stick. Tap the X button for quick short movements. Hold the X button to ride her broom. Press square button to attack. Hold square for a charge attack. Alright, so there's a bit to this then. Alright, so let's go ahead and summon her then. Okay. So, I imagine that she'd be available if all three of the meters were full, like, for a little bit longer than just a few seconds. But that is pretty cool. That was something that I kind of wished I could have done in the original version of the game, but that wasn't available, so... Okay, so if you haven't played Witch in the Hundred Knight, there's a lot of mechanics to explain, and I'll try to go over just kind of briefly what you're looking at here. So you have different weapon sets that you can customize. So if we go to the equip menu, this is my first kind of my main weapon set here, and you'll notice there's a lot of things that you need to kind of keep in mind. This is an NIS game. If you played a lot of the games that they've done, like a lot of, specifically the RPGs, they're very mechanics heavy. There's a lot of things going on. One of the reasons why I love Disgaea so much is because it's just insane. There are so many things to think about, and they all kind of interconnect and work really well. This game's got a lot of stuff going on. I don't particularly think the combat system or the way things tie together works very well. It's okay. It's not great though, I don't think. But basically what you're looking at here is you've got different types of weapons. So you've got a spear, hammer, sword. They have different types of attacks. So you've got like blunt damage, piercing, slashing. So as you would imagine, certain enemies are weak to certain types of damage. On the far right here we see rate. So it's 1.0, then it changes to 1.2, and then that change kind of doesn't increase till the bottom here. And then you see type. And so next to the spear, hammer, sword, you're seeing kind of numbers. So we've got 1, 2, 4, 4, 5. What you want to do when you're creating these weapon sets is you want them to increase in order. And when you do that, they will chain together, and that'll increase the damage that they're doing. And then, of course, we've got some defensive accessories. And so then I have a hammer for basically, specifically for some enemies I've run into early that are only, you can only damage them with blunt weapons. So I've kind of created this like solely hammer set, just with some extra hammers I've had laying around, just to do a little extra damage specifically to them, to take them out a little quicker. So you can have up to 3 weapon sets. You can switch between them with R2 and L2 at any moment. So that's kind of the core here, and then of course you're just hitting square to do different attacks. They are chaining together in the order of the weapons that you have selected. So you got these guys here, they're only weak to blunt damage, so you can take them out in like 1 or 2 hits here. Sometimes 3. You got this circle meter here, that's kind of your stamina. So you can run, and that will take stamina. You can dodge by tapping X, that will take some stamina. And then of course your attacks will as well, and if you use up your entire stamina meter, you kind of get knocked down for a second. So you need to be careful with that. You got your HP, you got your AP in the top left, you got your level. Wonder Knight is actually the type of knight that you're using. I don't think I can select that in here, but you can. We'll look at that later on, and then we'll proceed. And then the thing that's draining is essentially a time limit you're given in each mission. It starts out at 100, and it's constantly draining. There are items that you can consume to increase that. When you hit checkpoints, you can actually spend points that will increase that meter as well, so you can get a little bit more time. Basically, you don't want that to hit 0. When that hits 0, I think you get downed, basically. And if you and then same as if you lose all your HP, if you're downed, you lose, and you have to go back to your hub area and restart the level. Luckily, if you do die, you retain the checkpoints you found, so you don't have to complete the whole level over again. But it can be a little annoying. I can also, this enemy's dazed, but his health is under 20%. So in doing that, I can actually consume it. You just mash triangle. And that'll increase your bonus. And your bonus gauge is, again, similar to something like Disgaea. Cannot equip it here. Or can't look at it here. But basically, each level has a bonus gauge. And as you fill more and more of that gauge, you're getting different rewards, basically. So sometimes that's different items, maybe it's a weapon. Sometimes it's a rare item if you get the entire gauge full. So we'll finish this floor, and then we'll actually go back to the main area, so I can show some of the other things going on. But I figured this actually would be a cool thing to show to start off, just because it's something new. And so if you have, even if you have played this game before, this is actually something new to this version. So you saw I just got a grade up. So we'll take these guys out and I'll show you what that's about here. This even looks like a new enemy. I don't remember this guy. Oh, he's gone. Okay, so we go over here. Distribute grade points. So as you're playing, you'll get these like grade points that will build up, and you can spend that on some different stats. You can actually increase your bonus meter, or you can. The G-Cal is basically the timer. So you can increase that by 10% each time. We won't worry about that because we're going to return. Get some experience. Alright. So, one of the main things I really didn't like about this game when I first played it a few years ago, like, the combat was okay, it was whatever, it was kind of serviceable. I didn't really mind it too much. But it was specifically the character of the witch. And I'm trying to figure out where I would need to go to leave here. Maybe just cross the bridge. The witch character, Natalya, is a terrible, terrible person. Infamously, there are a few scenes in this game that are pretty intense. This is a very dark game. The point that we're at, I just finished the first half of Chapter 1, and at that point, you run into a witch that is basically like a good witch. She's kind of the rival at the very beginning. So she's a witch that Natalya just hates. And you fight her in a boss fight, you defeat her, and then Natalya shows up, and there's some just awful things that happen. And it's rough. It's the type of thing that, like, having a character that is just evil and, like, is completely irredeemable is not necessarily a bad thing. But in this case, I felt like the writing wasn't there to make it something that, like, okay, she's a character that is just awful, just a pure evil character, but maybe there's layers to her. There's still, like, there's a lot more than just, oh, she's got a really foul mouth and is just the worst human being ever, right? Or the worst thing ever, you know? It didn't feel like there was that layer, and I kept hearing that there was more to her story, that, like, there was a backstory to her that kind of explained why she is the way she is, but the more and more I played, the more and more it was like, I'm not seeing it, and the more and more, like, just the writing and even other characters that would come in, it was hard to continue playing. And the combat being, like, okay, but not great, didn't really help. So, here's the facets. As you play, you'll unlock different facets. So you start out with Wonder Knight, and it's more of just kind of a very balanced, not really proficient in any specific area, but still pretty good. I just unlocked Power Fortress, and this is, of course, it's got a higher attack, higher defense, but it's weak to magic. So you'll get, like, different kinds that are proficient in different areas. You can switch between them. I believe you can have up to 3. So we got the main. I can set this as a sub. So you can have a main, you can have 2 subs, and you'll kind of switch that here at the hub area. and then you can switch between them on the fly when you're out doing missions. Let's see, we can look at bucket lists. A lot of these things I can't really do much with right now. Go look at tips. And then you can go in some of these areas to see like different scenes. So here's Natalya. She has a very foul mouth. she curses a lot, and that's kind of like she is played up as just as evil as you could possibly be. But it doesn't, I don't know, it just, I think the writing isn't great, and so it's kind of, it feels like she's just evil for the sake of, like, it's like, we want to make the most evil character we possibly can. How do we do that? Well, we'll have her, like, curse a ton, we'll have her do, like, just purely, like, awful things to everyone, and it doesn't feel like there's any more to it, at least for me. Your enjoyment of this game is probably going to be very much dependent on, like, are you okay with that? Are you okay with, like, the writing in this game and the way that Natalya is portrayed? Because if you are, then I think you can get something out of it. But if not, like, I don't know that there's a whole lot else here. So we'll go ahead and just kind of skip through this so we can actually get more gameplay in here. Let's see. So here's our world map. This is kind of where I need to go next. But I think we'll just come back to another area I've been. This will show a little bit more what's going on here. Well, I don't know. We'll keep going, I guess. The load times are kind of long. They're not too terrible. I feel like I seem to remember the PS3 version having pretty long loading times. They still seem kind of long here, but I can't really compare. I don't have a PS3 anymore, so I can't really load that game up again and compare, so I'm not too sure, but I imagine they're at least a bit shorter, hopefully. See what we get. Okay, so very quickly here, take a look at some other things here. You get your status screen, kind of nothing too crazy about what you would expect. The Tachka stuff I've not unlocked yet. There's specific skills, but I've not gotten far enough into the game to unlock them. I don't really remember too much about what specific ones are here. If you go into stomach, so as you're playing through a stage, there are items that you'll pick up, but there's also things that you'll like kind of consume and that they'll be put into your stomach stock. Right now, so I don't have I can store up to 17 pieces. You can find items that will increase the amount of storage you can have, but you need to be careful here because if you get some stuff like you could potentially get some pretty good loot. That is stored here, but if you're down, then I think if you give up on a level, you'll lose that. So you need to be kind of careful there. We can look at the map. There's nothing too much to see just yet. And then here's a look at the bonus list. So this is kind of what you would expect. Starts off not too much, but then if you get all the way up and fill the entire bonus list, we'll get the Baron's Lance. So I think that's the crux of it, so we'll play a bit more here. For experience, you notice the bar on the right side under the map. We'll gain experience, but that doesn't get applied, as you saw in the Tower of Illusion. That's not applied until after you finish the stage. Or if you die, it'll get applied, so you're not actually leveling up until afterwards. These guys are... Oh, great. Man. So... I don't know that this game is necessarily hard from the beginning. I do remember later on, it got pretty rough. I remember being kind of frustrated in a certain boss fight as I got pretty deep into the game. But there is a casual mode. So this is on normal right now, but you can switch between normal and casual at any moment. In the hub area, there's a little character that you can talk to that will switch that mode onto the fly. Basically, casual mode just it basically decreases the amount of damage enemies are going to deal to you, makes them a little bit weaker. Because it looks, I believe enemies scale with your level in this game, which is another thing that I don't really care for all that much. Sometimes it works, but more often than not, I feel like I'm not a huge fan of enemies that scale most of the time. Of course, I just don't have all that great of weapons right now either. You can hit the touchpad to bring up this. So we'll use a healing item. I don't believe... I may have picked up some other weapons here. Let's see if I finally got a 3 somewhere. There we go. So now you see, now with everything chained together, you're looking at a lot better kind of damage overall. Even though the weapons aren't necessarily all that great. It'll be a good bit better. So, see what that looks like. That's better. Alright. And before we end, we will show... you see I have my AP meter full. There is kind of a special thing you can trigger. It'll drain your G-Cal a lot faster. But it'll kind of put you into like an overdrive mode, basically. So we'll take a look at that soon. It definitely feels like this is the level where enemies start, like, actually taking a bit to kill. Up to this point, most of the enemies you run into, like, drop in 1 to 2 hits. It does matter, though. Like, it does matter to... Oh, wow. Just not paying attention to my HP there. It matters to create good weapon sets. If your weapon, like you need to have like good sets, and like being able to build that and chain those things together matters quite a bit, at least on normal mode. But we'll just go ahead and if you hold L1 and then hit triangle, you'll do that, and then you'll start like doing a lot more damage. The G-Cal meter is gonna drain faster though, so you need to be careful about that. It's actually not good to do that with when the meter is as low as it is, but it's whatever. So this is gonna drain all the way to 0. And as you see there, when that meter is at 0, your health starts draining. Fortunately, I don't think I have an item that restores that, so we'll probably have to just leave this area. Which is fine. See if maybe I can reach a checkpoint. Nope. That's okay. So maybe we'll show a bit more of the hub area. And as you see, one thing that is nice is the experience does get applied to every facet you have equipped. So you don't have to you don't need to switch to the other ones just to level them up too, which is pretty nice. I'll show a little bit more of the hub world before we close out. So this, yeah, you know, it's this. I don't think this is a bad game at all. It's not something that I really found myself enjoying a lot when I played it a few years back. I've kind of I've tried going into this with kind of an open mind. I'll probably keep playing it, and just see how things go. See if maybe I enjoy it this time. I don't know. Because I would like to give it another shot, but I don't know. There's definitely some depth here to the combat, and there is a lot of mechanics, and so I do like the very mechanics heavy NIS games. I think those always have like really weird or interesting concepts. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't, but if nothing else, there are things in this game that seem pretty cool. I think that Tower of Illusion thing could actually be pretty interesting. I like to see more of that. But again, just story-wise and the characters, I personally really don't care for them at all. I think a big part of this game is definitely going to be like, is this something that you just hate? Do you just not like these characters at all? Because if you don't, maybe steer clear of this. And maybe that sounds obvious, but that was definitely a big point of me eventually stopping and not finishing the game last time. So there's your shop. Sometimes they have weapons for sale, but not this one. And I believe it's this one over here, this lamp. Yeah. So you can change with that that lamp tree from casual to normal, normal to casual, at any moment. And there's no, I don't think it affects trophies. I don't think there's any like, I don't think you're limited at all. Like if you play casual, I don't think you're missing out on anything. It's just the enemies are weaker. So that option is there. Well, let's see what this is. Okay. You also notice some of these houses, like, you can visit or you can raid. And if you raid, it shows you the level, shows you the treasure you can get. So, obviously, I would not be able to raid and successfully raid this house, obviously. But that is there, so like you can get kind of cool treasure if you want to. I think that covers the basics of this. A good deal of what's on offer here. Again, that is out this week. It is The Witch and the 100 Knight Revival Edition. The big changes are basically the game looks nicer. It's that Tower of Illusion, the ability to play as Natalya in the Tower of Illusion. And that is the three big ones. I don't think there's anything else that's major, like a major new addition. I want to say, if memory serves me correctly, I believe the PS3 version, when it first came out, there were some bugs in there. Like people having games crashing and stuff. I think I ran into one because I want to say my game like hard locked at one point. But, and I would hope that those would be fixed in this version. But other than that, those three things are kind of the big key points here as to what's new or what's different in this version. Again, that should be out this week. If you're interested, I mean, feel free to check it out. Again, I don't think it's bad. I'll continue playing it because I do want to try to give this a second shot, just to see maybe if it clicks with me this time. Don't know if I'll review it or not because it is a pretty lengthy game. But it's interesting. There's some cool stuff here. I just don't know if everything kind of comes together very well, and I'm not too fond of really any of the characters in the game. Even from when I played it before, I don't really remember there being any character that I actually liked in this game. So that probably says a lot. So that's going to do it for me. Thank you for watching as always, and until next time, I'll see you later. If you like this or any of our other YouTube videos, subscribe to our channel. If you'd like to support what we do in general, be sure to hop on over to patreon.com/PSNStores. Your patronage helps keep our podcast 100% ad-free. Thanks for watching.